Hello and welcome to TVB News. A total of 280,000 people passed through several control points on the first day of full resumption of cross-border travel between Hong Kong and the mainland yesterday. But as many found it difficult to show their health declaration QR codes on their mobile phones, Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan said the measure could be scrapped. Sharon Tang reports.
Among the 280,000 trips recorded yesterday, half were inbound trips and the other half outbound. Most of the people travelled through land border crossings, with Luohu Port registering a high of 64,000 visits. Travellers are required to complete a health declaration and show a valid QR code before crossing to the other side. Eric Chan said extra manpower has been deployed to help those who have trouble inputting the necessary information.
We will talk to the mainland authorities to see if we can enhance or even cancel this arrangement. Such arrangements was implemented smoothly.
But apparently not everyone agreed.
All the old men cannot use the mobile phone, particularly old women, very angry and argue and quarrel.
The common way to fill in the declaration is through the WeChat app. But if you have changed your phone, forgotten your password, or have not been using the app for a long time, you will need 2 friends to send you a verification code. Those who successfully log in will have to look for a specific portal or scan a QR code at any of the control points to fill in the declaration form. Meanwhile, the Liantang Heng Yun Wai control point that was opened for the first time yesterday saw no more than 6,000 visitors. Chan said that figure is normal for a new control point. He expects this weekend will be the peak time for cross-border travel, and he has asked relevant departments to better plan the transport support services. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
With the city having fully reopened its borders with the mainland, PCR testing centers across Hong Kong saw a massive drop in the number of people arriving to get their samples taken. Meanwhile, Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan noted that the city's testing centers will not be entirely closed in the short term. Timothy Lee reports.
Last month, travelers going to the mainland were still required to provide a negative PCR test result taken within 48 hours of their departure. For several days, long lines of crowds could be seen waiting outside Shum Shui Po's Maple Street Playground Testing Center as people rushed to complete the mandatory procedure prior to celebrating the Lunar New Year with their families on the mainland. But as both mainland and Hong Kong authorities have further relaxed border crossing COVID restrictions, the scene of the playground testing site today stood in stark contrast to the noticeable chaos in January. The entire procedure for those taking their PCR test today took less than 5 minutes to complete. Many of them took the test to meet hospital and care home visit requirements. This woman said her husband was hospitalized last night, and she couldn't provide him with daily supplies unless she gets tested. This mainland tourist, who was returning home from Thailand, had to get her test done because she had been overseas within the last 7 days. As of noon, Hong Kong still had more than 80 testing centers currently in operation. Besides the Kowloon Park Mini Soccer Pitch Testing Center, the majority of these facilities have an ample quota for residents who wish to get tested. Meanwhile, Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan stressed that the testing centers will remain available in the city as long as the declaration of the pandemic's end has not been made, but noted that their numbers will decline.
As of this afternoon, few residents continue to make their way to the Maple Street Playground Testing Center in order to conduct their PCR tests prior to their travels abroad. Staff at the testing center said they remain uncertain if the testing site will close in accordance to the full reopening of the border. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
China said it would continue to resolutely safeguard its legitimate rights and interests over the shooting down on Saturday of what the U.S. says was a Chinese spy balloon. While the U.S. search for debris is ongoing, Beijing reiterated its claims that the object was a civilian airship used for meteorological research, adding that it does not belong to the United States. U.S. President Joe Biden said they did the right thing by shooting down the balloon. Nazvi Karim reports.
China is asking for calm, and the White House says it would stay calm. But it's an uneasy calm with tension still palpable, days after the United States shot down what it says is a Chinese spy balloon off the Carolina coast. The U.S. Coast Guard has imposed a temporary security zone in the area as the military continues collecting debris from the balloon, which was shot down at 60,000 feet by an F-22 fighter jet. American officials want the material to gain a deeper insight into Chinese intelligence capabilities. China, though, insists it was nothing more than a weather balloon, saying Washington overreacted in shooting it down.
这个气球不是美国的。
Beijing also appears to be ruffled by U.S. attempts to recover the object. On Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said the airship is China's and not the U.S.'s during a news briefing. U.S. President Joe Biden, under attack by some politicians for delaying the shooting down of the balloon, said he had informed Beijing of his intentions.
No, we made it clear to China what we're going to do. They understand our position. We're not going to back off. We did the right thing. And there's not a question of weakening or strengthening. It's just the reality. It was always my position. Once it came over into the United States from Canada, I told the Defense Department I wanted to shoot it down as soon as it was appropriate.
The U.S. now appears to be putting the burden on Beijing to improve relations between the two countries, which has hit a recent low after Secretary of State Antony Blinken cancelled a February 5 to 6 visit to China.
It's up to China to show it is serious about its words of being a responsible country. So it's up to China to figure out what kind of relationship that they want.
Russia is reportedly sending scores of reinforcements into eastern Ukraine ahead of what Kyiv says is a major offensive around the February 24th first anniversary of the invasion. With more weapons arriving from Western allies, Ukraine is also preparing for a spring push to recapture territory. The first shipment of more than 60 American Bradley fighting vehicles have been loaded onto a ship at an undisclosed location in the U.S. It may take months for the Bradleys to be on the battlefield, given the training and logistics challenges. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the frontline focus is on Bakhmut in the Donetsk region, with Russia, which Russia is keen to capture so they can cut off enemy supply lines. Meanwhile, Dai Bing, China's deputy permanent representative to the United Nations, said the arrival of more weapons to the war theater is adding fuel to the conflict. He called on all parties to promote peace and work towards an end to the conflict, adding that the humanitarian situation in Ukraine has always tugged at our heartstrings. Welcome back. The closely watched trial of some of the 47 former pro-democracy lawmakers and activists in Hong Kong continued today. In court, the prosecution played a closed-door video allegedly showing legal scholar Benny Tai talking about plans for the 35-plus Legislative Council primary election. The aim of the poll is said to be for the mutual destruction of the government. Jackie Lin reports.
Day 2 of the city's largest national security trial, with a posse of officers on standby around the West Kowloon Magistrates Court. Attending the trial were the 10 defendants earlier granted bail, lawyer and former district councillor Lawrence Lau, former chairwoman of the Wan Chai District Council Clarice Yeung, and ex-lawmaker Helena Wong, with other jail Democrats arriving by prison vans. Today, the prosecution presented a video apparently recorded in stealth during the second coordination meeting for the New Territories West Geographical Constituency polls on May 8, 2020. It allegedly captured legal scholar Benny Tai elaborating on their political strategy to win a majority in Hong Kong's legislature and use that power to veto the government's budget. In the video, Tai said that objective overrode other goals, including the calls for political reforms and probes into police violence during the 2019 social unrest. The prosecution also mentioned various preparatory efforts for the 35-plus primary by the former University of Hong Kong law professor. They include a press conference Benny Tai co-organized with former lawmaker Ao Nok Hin and ex-district councillor Andrew Chu. At the time, Tai and Chiu called for public donations after estimating campaign expenses at around $3.5 million. The prosecution said a month after the national security law took effect, Benny Tai said in a press conference that the 35-plus primary election, which was held on July 11th and 12th, remained legal. The elected candidates submitted their nomination for the LegCo election, which was postponed owing to the pandemic. The prosecution said if their plans had materialized, the stability of the government and people's livelihoods would have been dealt a major blow. So far, 31 of the 47 defendants pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit subversion. 4 of the Democrats are set to testify for the prosecution. The landmark political trial will be heard by 3 designated national security judges and tried without a jury. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Police have arrested 5 people, including 2 minors, for alleged disorderly behavior at a retail chain store in Mong Kok. Police received a report from an About Thai store employee that 5 men shouted at customers in the store Friday evening. 2 of them returned 2 days later and shouted in the store again. After an initial investigation, police arrested 5 suspects aged between 14 and 28 in Kwai Chung, Hung Hom, and Kowloon City. They are being detained for further investigation. Police have adopted a new approach to crack down on illegal street racing in the New Territories. Since last year, the police's New Territories North Regional Headquarters Special Task Force has been using a new approach to step up their crackdown on unlawful street races. This includes recording and detecting illegal street racing without direct interception at the scene. The police say they hope this approach will further strengthen their operations. The authorities also said they will increase patrols on Route Twisk, Brides Pool Road, and Yuen Long Highway. So far, 44 people have been arrested for illegal street racing since last October. Meantime, medics have warned those who recently recovered from COVID-19 that they could be putting themselves in danger by running the Hong Kong Marathon this Sunday. Lobo Louis, a senior lecturer at the Education University's Department of Health and Physical Education, advised athletes not to begin their training until at least a week after they have recovered from COVID. He added that patients may experience symptoms of long COVID, such as dizziness and shortness of breath, on the first 7 days after recovery, and that participants of the marathon suffering from these conditions may risk their health. Canadian authorities have decided to extend and expand a work permit program for Hong Kongers until 2025. Ottawa has also relaxed its requirements for registration, noting that Hong Kongers who have received post-secondary education and completed their studies in Canada or other countries now qualify for the open work permit.
Expanding the open work permit program, from my perspective, is a win-win, as it gives Hong Kong residents more opportunity to gain work experience here in Canada, but it also allows us to support the Canadian economy by bringing workers.
Regarding the relaxation of registrations for permanent residency, Fraser said the proposal is still under consideration in Ottawa. A Canadian organization assisting Hong Kongers noted that the work permit extension could allow those graduating soon in the SAR to apply. In the United States, areas of a village on the Ohio and Pennsylvania state line are still sealed off after a train derailed nearby and toxic chemicals were released. A fire has been started to try to burn away the potentially deadly material. David Garrett reports.
The flames leapt into the sky and could be seen for miles around, although the fire is at a safe distance from homes. The small town of East Palestine has been evacuated because the smoke, if breathed in, could be deadly. This follows a train derailment on Friday. The train was carrying hazardous materials, including vinyl chloride.
Shortly before 5 p.m. this afternoon, in consultation with their emergency responders, Norfolk Southern carried out their recommended course of action, beginning the controlled vent and burn of a train car carrying vinyl chloride to prevent an uncontrolled explosion. That process should be completed quite shortly. I know it was alarming to see the big plume of smoke and the fire. But I want to reassure Pennsylvanians that the process is proceeding as planned.
It's not yet known how the train derailed, but more than 2,000 people have had to be evacuated. The governors of both Ohio and Pennsylvania say this was necessary as there was a direct threat to public health.
I want all Pennsylvanians to know that, again, your health and safety is our top priority, and we will continue to work until this is over. We will learn from this, and we will make sure that in the future we continue our efforts to keep you safe.
Officials say they're confident everyone left the area in time, and now the evacuees have to wait for the all clear. David Garrett, TVB News.
A woman has been arrested in Maryland for conspiring to attack Baltimore's power grid. The FBI says she had racist motives and was plotting with a neo-Nazi leader in Florida named as Brandon Russell. Investigators released images of 34-year-old Sarah Beth Clendaniel wearing tactical gear with a swastika and holding a rifle. They say she planned a series of sniper attacks on electrical substations.
As the criminal complaint alleges, Clendaniel and Russell conspired and took steps to shoot multiple electrical substations in the Baltimore area, aiming to, quote, completely destroy this whole city.
In sports, Pep Guardiola may leave Manchester City, a football finance expert says, if the club were found guilty of breaking the English Premier League's financial fair play rules. After a 4-year investigation, City were charged on Monday with more than 100 breaches of the league's financial rules between 2009 and 2018. City say they have irrefutable evidence that they did nothing wrong after being accused of failing to accurately report its finances. But if the charges stick, they could face a number of consequences, including deduction of points and even expulsion from the league.
I don't think that a ban by the Premier League of Manchester City would be really on the table. So therefore the other potential sanction is one of points deductions. There's an awful lot of politics involved with this at present. Pep Guardiola, he himself has said that he has committed himself to Manchester City because he believes that his colleagues, his senior management colleagues, have been telling him the truth. And if that proves not to be the case, he will leave within 24 hours.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.